I think that the live theater experience is a unique format because it is a moment in time that will never be repeated exactly the same way. You know, you can't rewind live theater and watch a great moment again. It just lives there for however long it exists, sort of in the ether and in the minds of the audience and the performers, and then it's gone. So I think the fact that it is so ethereal and so fleeting makes it really special. You know, scarcity brings value. So I think that it's one of the most valuable performing arts mediums because of that. It really, it's a special thing to watch a show and know that you and the people in the audience with you and the actors on stage with you are experiencing something that no one else will ever experience quite like that. And I think that's really unique. And I think it's something that just is not, you can't replicate it. And that makes it really, really cool. Hi, I'm Faye Viviana, and I'm the executive producer at Crimson Square Theater Company. If you'd like to hear more about our next production, Belleville by Amy Herzog, directed by Benjamin Burt at the Beverly Hills Playhouse, please stay tuned for our conversation. I first heard about Belleville by Amy Herzog from the director, actually, Benjamin Burt. He's a big Amy Herzog fan. He turned me into a big Amy Herzog fan, and he actually brought this piece to me a few years ago. And at the time, we really didn't have the resources to do a piece like this. So I said no. We did a table read, and I was like, this is great. I love it. We can't do this right now. It's got too much going on. And he's like, okay, fine. And then, you know, we had our first season, and then we had our second season, and he directed Sex with Strangers for us last season, and it was a huge hit. It did great. He did such a wonderful job. And so then he wrote a new proposal for me. He said, all right, I want you to take a look at Belleville again. This is how I propose we can pull it off. I've really thought through all this complicated kind of cool stuff that goes on in the show. I really think we can do it. So I took a look, and honestly, it was such a great proposal. That's how a lot of our works come to us. Our outside works is we have directors or mentee directors or producers or mentee producers come to me, and they say, hey, I want you to take a look at this proposal. Maybe we can set up a table read for consideration. So he said, okay, take a look at this proposal. It was an awesome proposal. And I said, okay, let's do it. And I'm so excited to do it. It is edgier than some of the shows we've done in the past, but I feel like it's a perfect follow-up to his directorial debut, which was Sex with Strangers, which obviously you can tell even from the title has its own edge. And I think he's got a fabulous cast. It's going to be a really good, we haven't done like a psychological kind of thriller like that before, so I'm really excited about it. So in Belleville, it revolves around one main couple, which are two Americans living in Paris, Zach and Abby, and their landlords, Alioune and Amina, who are Senegalese French. And basically, I don't want to give too much away, but Zach has constructed a certain life for him and Abby that turns out to be based on quite a lot of falsehoods and deceit. And so throughout the play, the unraveling of their day-to-day life happens, and the fear of losing this life that he's built causes both him and Abby to kind of spiral out into pretty extreme circumstances. And throughout all of this, the landlords, Alioune and Amina, are the, in a weird way, voice of the regular people, kind of trying to figure out what is happening with this couple and why this is going on. So it starts out as this sort of picturesque image of a young, cute American couple living abroad, and spirals out of control into ultimately tragedy. I think that one of the things that Amy Herzog does so well is create unexpected circumstance and unexpected character behavior and choices. She writes such complex, what's the right word? Complex, and I'd say the pathology of her characters is fascinating. So there's so much for an actor to dig into. There's so much for a director to tackle. It's really, there's a richness to her writing within a very simple premise. So the setup of a lot of her scenes are just, you know, two people talking, but there's so much more going on underneath what they're saying, and the subtext is really rich. So it's just it's fun to dive into her work. I know that Ben has, like I said, Ben's been pushing for a long time for a couple of her pieces, actually, and I'm really glad that I could finally say yes to this one. So the director of Belleville is Benjamin Burt, and he did Sex with Strangers for us last season. That was his mentee directing debut. This is his official first solo directing venture, although I'd say he did a lot of it himself for Sex and Strangers. And I think he's incredibly capable. I think he's very talented. I think he is going to be a wonderful director in the Los Angeles theater scene. So I think it would be great for people who are theater fans to start checking out his work now. I think that he has a great feel for story. I think he has a great rapport with actors. I think he picks interesting material, an interesting take on it. I really would want audiences to come check it out for him as well, because I think that this is just the beginning of what is going to be a wonderful directing career. One of the things I'm really excited to see about Belleville is how we pull off the unraveling of these people's lives. There are a few sort of effects type pieces in the show I don't want to give away, but I'm very excited to see how we end up going about all of that. I think that it's going to be very thrilling to see it happen live. I always think there's something very cool about live theater when you really pull off some kind of effect, whether it's a blood effect or a water effect, or, you know, just a really good sound and light combo. And I think that this show is going to be really fun for the audience in that way, because I think it will be very unexpected how all of that plays out. And I am excited that we're opening this Halloween weekend, and I think that's very fitting given the sort of sinister tones going on throughout some of this piece. So that's what I'm really looking forward to seeing come to life on stage. I think I really want the audience to just go on the ride for Belleville. It's a bumpy ride, the way that, like, you know, a Halloween, like, hay bale maze, or, you know, those kind of like spooky things. It's one of those things where, as you start to realize what's really going on, there's a kind of eerie, sinister tone to it, and I can't wait for audiences to experience that real time as they also figure out what's going on in the play. I think it'll be very intense, and I am looking forward to hearing the audience reaction to the story. I think viewers should attend the production of Belleville because it's a great piece. It's so well written. We have a fabulous cast. They're going to be just beyond entertaining, I know that. And also because it's a great kickoff to the Halloween season, to the fall season. It has an edge, a spookiness. I think there's going to be a rawness about the production that will be really special to experience live. And I think that, you know, anybody who is in for a dose of kind of high octane theater is going to have a great time. So Crimson Square Theater Company has residency at Beverly Hills Playhouse, which I believe, I could be getting the date wrong, but I think it was built in 1931. So it's this historic old building. We have two theaters. We have a main stage and a research space. Our main stage, although we call it 99 seat, it's actually less than that. It's probably closer to 70. And then if we oversell, we can probably squeeze about 85 people in there comfortably before we start having to stand. And the research space is even more intimate. That is like a traditional black box. There's no proscenium. The main stage is raised and has a proscenium. The research space is a traditional black box with brick walls, and I think it seats something in the 30s, maybe 35. So there is a very intimate feel to everything that we put up, because you are very close to the stage. And even if we have, like on the main stage, we have a curtain, it's a very traditionally structured theater space, but it is small. So there is this, you're pretty close to all of the action. It's almost immersive in that way, which I think brings a very special element to all of our productions, because it's not far away. There's no microphones. Like, you're really right there with the storytelling and with the actors. So I think that that's something very special about our space. And, you know, with the building being so old, we have a little traditional courtyard. It has a stone floor. I mean, there's just a peaceful kind of, it doesn't feel like you're in Los Angeles for a moment. And I like that. Well, I started Crimson Square Theater Company back in, I guess it would be the winter of 2018, because a actor friend of mine was asking me to produce a show, which ended up being our very first show. It was I Am My Own Wife, which is a very unique, very challenging piece. And this particular actor has incredible work ethic, and he spent 6 months taking extra bartending shifts to save up the cash to help put on this show so that he could play this part. And he did such a wonderful job, but as many people know, theater is not the most lucrative investment opportunity out there. You're very successful and lucky if you break even. Making a profit's very hard. And I remember thinking it was really unfair that, you know, actors who are like some of the poorest demographic, especially in theater, would be having to take on the burden of trying to finance a show like that. And yet, if you are emerging and you don't have a ton of credits yet, oftentimes if you want to be in a specific piece, that's what it would take to put it on. So I started Crimson Square with the idea that we would bring together seasoned professionals with lots of experience and put them in the same productions as emerging professionals who were, you know, talented, upcoming. Maybe they had some credits, but not as experienced yet, so that they could really learn by doing. And the company would provide the structure for the financing and the publicity and the marketing and putting together a season, so that it wasn't like a bunch of people having to scrape together the money to put on a show, and then after that it takes 2 years to recover from that, and then before you can do your next show it's like another 2 years. It just seems like there had to be a better way to do it. So that's sort of what makes it unique, is that we have a very large educational mentorship angle. So we are trying to mentor new directors. We have a writer's lab. We are commissioning 6 brand new plays this year. And all of the writers in our lab, you know, started the lab 2 years ago. Some of them had never written before. We try to provide education to people who maybe didn't have the financial access to go get a degree in screenwriting, things like that. We train stage crew, stage managers, wardrobe, props, set building. You know, if you look around LA, it's like there's a shortage of staff everywhere. We lost a lot of good people during COVID. They don't just pop out of nowhere. Somebody's got to teach them. And I'm a huge believer in learning by doing. So I'm like, let's take a pro who knows how to do this like in their sleep and put them with some people who, you know, have some experience building set or construction or whatever, but let's get them together and then actually give them the experience of what it's like to build a set, or to learn how to run front of house or operate box office. And so I think that's what makes us really unique, is we're not just providing, you know, hopefully high quality theater to Southern California and the Los Angeles area, but we are also trying to bring up the next generation that is going to, you know, fill some big shoes of the up and coming, hopefully the up and coming name that Crimson Square will eventually become, of high quality shows and storytelling. I think that writers, actors, and directors should want to get involved in Crimson Square because there's a lot of opportunity. At the moment, at least, the door is wide open, and that's not something that you see often. You know, I feel like, you know, even if you're pretty established in your respective field, there's a lot of red tape before you get to be part of something and create something from scratch. And right now, especially because we're so young, you know, this is our 3rd season. We have a lot of room, like, for growth, and that creates a lot of opportunity for people who, you know, maybe the door hasn't been open to them yet. So I would say get involved because you can, and it's available to you. And why wouldn't you take the learning experience and get another show or a play or production under your belt? I think it's, like I said, learning by doing is the best way. And right now we have a lot of opportunities to get the doing part underway. So I think that's pretty much why. Crimson Square and theaters like it are important because we are the breeding ground for the next generation of theater, especially on the West Coast. We have a way to train and sort of apprentice and mentor all different roles throughout theater. And, you know, the big houses and the big shows, you can't go on without people in those roles. You need people learning how to do costumes. You need people learning how to write. You need people learning how to do lighting and sound design. And I think that, you know, the community should support smaller theaters like us because we are a place where those emerging talents can grow. It's very hard to create original works and try new things with tons of money on the line, right? If you're at a huge house in downtown LA and the pressure is on, they're not going to risk that on an unknown who's never really done this before. Whereas a place like Crimson Square or a smaller theater house, we can, because we probably trained you. So we get a sense of whether you're capable or not. And then we can, because of that, take a risk and let you direct your first show or let you set design your first show. And I think that element of providing opportunity to new talent is so crucial. It's not something everybody can necessarily go to school for, right? I mean, some people can and some people can't. And I think that it's very important for the community to support the ones who maybe can't, you know, and there's a lot of really talented people out there who just, for whatever reason, didn't go to college or couldn't go to college and get a degree in theater arts, or maybe they went to college for something else and then got out and went, I hate accounting. I really want to do stage set building. And, you know, now they're trying to learn, and it's something that we can uniquely provide opportunity for. So having donations and community involvement means the world to us. We really cannot survive without it. And in supporting a company like Crimson Square, you are providing educational opportunities for people from all walks of life, from young people to underprivileged people to seniors to, you know, people who maybe have learning disabilities or special needs but want to get involved somehow. There's all these ways that a smaller house can give opportunity to a community, and being a financial support of that means so much. Your every dollar goes such a long way for a company this size. So if you ever want to support us, you can go to crimsonsquare.org/support. There's a donate button. There's also, if you'd like to be a mentor, if you are, you know, experienced in something like stagecraft or set building or screenwriting or whatever, we also have programs to hook you up on the educational side of things as well.